What's up guys, my name is George, and today I'm with Sierra Jewelers, and we're going to be talking about one of the most iconic watches in the game, and that is Patek Philippe. Now, to most collectors, this watch is considered, or this brand I should say, is considered to be the best in the watch market. But is it really the best? So, before we get into some alternatives that many consider to be better than the Patek Philippe, today we're going to focus on one specific model, and that is the stainless steel 5711 Nautilus. Okay, to figure out why Patek Philippe, the Nautilus specifically, is so collectible, we have to kind of go back in time in the watch market. So, if you flash back to the 1970s, the watch market was kind of in a crisis, specifically the quartz crisis. So back then, watches were meant to be tools and they were built to be accurate. But then quartz comes along and says, well, hey, guess what? Your watch is maybe +3, -3 a day in accuracy. We're like that in a month. So basically a bunch of brands just got absolutely decimated. They were crushed. So brands had to reinvent themselves to stay relevant, especially in the luxury segment, because luxury watches are more expensive than your common quartz piece. So the first brand to do this was Audemars Piguet. And what they did was they hired who many consider to be the Picasso of watch design, and that is Gerald Genta. And he made them the iconic Royal Oak, which to this day is still AP's best watch, in most collectors' minds. So they go ahead and they make that watch. And then fast forward a couple years, Gerald Genta isn't working for AP anymore. He's at a restaurant, he's sitting on a table, and he's kind of just playing around with his sketchbook, and he sees two Patek Philippe executives walk in. So in his words, and this is the funniest part about this, is he draws the Patek Philippe Nautilus in like 5 minutes. And he walks up to these executives, across the bar, the restaurant, whatever, and he shows them the design, and they absolutely fell in love. And that's what kind of started the sports luxury stainless steel market, pretty much with those two watches. Now, if you know John-Claude Biver, he's a very iconic person in the watch market. They thought at the time he was working for AP, and he thought it was kind of funny because they kind of, AP kind of was the originator of this design, and then Patek followed them. Now, if you know people in the watch, in the watch hobby, that's kind of weird. Usually Patek is supposed to be number one and then AP follows suit. But yeah, John-Claude Biver, who worked at AP at the time, mentions this in this clip. So Danny will play it right now and you guys can check it out. So continuing on with the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711, the history, when it first started, when it first came out, it was not actually that well received. Like I said, a lot of people thought it was kind of a copy of the AP Royal Oak, and it was very strange to most collectors because they kind of followed AP. So, but Patek kept investing in it, and then, AP also kept investing in the Royal Oak. They were basically the two kind of competition. Think of it as like maybe BMW versus Mercedes, for example. So they kept investing in it, and what the first model that really took off, believe it or not, was the woman's model. So they made a woman's model of the Patek Nautilus, and it did very well, and that kind of helped to kind of push, the men's model more into the mainstream and start selling. Now, the funny thing about this piece, this watch, is that it was literally designed in 5 minutes. I mean, Gerald Genta literally sketched the design. He kind of made it after a porthole design of like a boat or like a ship, and he just added some ears to the side, and yeah, there you have the Nautilus right there. So that right there can show you how, how good this guy was at design. I mean, he made this super collectible watch that, will stand the test of time for many more years to come in about 5 minutes, which is very, very impressive. So fast forward to a couple years, we're in the mid 2000s. Nautilus is still doing well. It has a retail of around, 25 to 30,000, depending on, of course, what size and all that. And then if you go into 2013, 2014, demand, starts to go up for this stainless steel piece a little bit, and then fast forward to like 2017, prices really start to kind of boom. And it's, in my opinion, that's due to pop culture. I mean, you had a bunch of rappers kind of buying Pateks, rapping about Pateks. I mean, there was a whole song, I believe, called like something Patek, like just about, Patek Philippe as a brand. And it became more mainstream, the culture switched from just Rolex to, people rapping about Pateks. I mean, Cardi B literally says patty cake on my wrist. So that, in my opinion, kind of put the brand on the map for most non-watch enthusiasts. Before, not that many people knew Patek Philippe, or even if they were a luxury brand or not, they just didn't know what the brand was. And then the Nautilus was the one, that stainless steel piece was the one to really, kind of ingrain that image in the average person's mind of what a Patek Philippe looks like. Just to name a couple celebrities that have made, you know, the Nautilus kind of famous. The first one is Drake. He has this green one with baguettes, custom made. Drake, man, you gotta call me. That thing is hideous, bro. I got you. I recommend you some good watches. We have DJ Khaled with an iced out one. Conor McGregor has a two-tone. So there's a bunch of different celebrities that have this watch, and because they've been kind of promoting it, the brand has really blown up in the mainstream, and that in turn has affected the prices. So the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711 in retail used to be around 30 grand. Now in the gray market, you'd be hard pressed to find one for maybe 70, depending on box and papers condition. So the prices have gone absolutely bananas. The watch is super expensive, and this is where me as a watch collector and kind of enthusiast, I kind of I look at other brands and say, is this watch really worth that price? Let's pretend that you're in the market for a Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711. They go for around, like I said, 70 grand with box papers. So in my opinion, what I would do is I would look at some other alternative brands and build a collection with that 70 grand instead of just buying that, one watch. Here are some of the luxury models and brands that I would go for personally instead of the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711. First luxury watch brand that I would pick to build your collection out of with that 70 grand is the Vacheron Constantin Overseas Chronograph. Now this watch, to me, it's one of my favorite watches ever. It comes with actually 3 bands. So if you buy the stainless steel, you get a leather and a rubber, and it has a quick release system, so you can swap them out really quickly. It has a modern movement. The watch is, really well built. It feels like kind of like jewelry on your wrist. Like the bracelet, it's incredible, the fit and finish. So when you compare that to the Patek, I mean, the Patek Philippe definitely has the pedigree, but that watch to this day, even in 2020, still feels like it was built in the 70s. It kind of has like a rattly bracelet, it has a friction clasp, it has a pin bracelet, so it's actually not screwed in. So when you compare it to the Vacheron, which you can get around, I would say 24,000 for the chronograph, even cheaper for the 3-hander, maybe 19,000. You can get that brand new. It's part of the big 3, the Holy Trinity. So you still have that pedigree there in your collection. The second luxury watch brand that I would choose would be Audemars Piguet, specifically the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. Now for this price point, or our budget I should say, I would go with the 3-hand model. And I mean, this is where the argument comes in. I mean, AP made this market. They created the sports luxury market in stainless steel. So to make collectors, it's like, you could get the Nautilus, the 5711, but the AP is kind of the watch that started that. I mean, it was the trendsetter, and you can have them at a decent price. You're not paying over sticker. If you go into Patek and you wanna, get a Nautilus 5711, they're either gonna laugh at you or they're just gonna be like, well, who are you? I mean, what kind of client are you? How much money have you spent with us? So it's very tough to get. Where the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, you can walk into any dealer, maybe you wait like 2 or 3 weeks, but they'll get you the watch you want. So in that sense, you can actually get it. And again, it's part of the Holy Trinity. It has that pedigree, it has that history. And yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's the one that created that market. So you're getting the original kind of stainless steel luxury sports watch. So an oddball brand, to most people at least, to collectors, it's a fan favorite, is Glashutte Original. And they have this watch called the Panamera 70s. And they have a version in the chronograph. Now this watch has like a TV screen style design. It's super 70s, just like the name is. Very similar to the Nautilus. I mean, it takes kind of similar design cues. And that's an oddball brand. It's German made, it's not Swiss made whatsoever. The price point, I believe, retail is close to that 20,000, but in the gray market, they're around 12,000, I believe, for a good condition one. And this is, a stainless steel luxury sports watch. It's, in-house movement, beautiful, beautiful bracelet, beautiful dials, custom made in-house for Glashutte. No one else has access to their stuff. And it's German, so it's a little different. It kind of is for someone who wants to stand out from the crowd. And of course, the price point is definitely a plus too. Just to put into perspective how expensive the Nautilus 5711 has become. Think about it this way. You could have technically 7 Rolex Submariners in ceramic for 1 Nautilus. Or, I mean, I'm not, no way, shape, or form am I comparing the Rolex Submariner to a Nautilus in terms of pedigree and, brand equity. But here's the thing. You could technically have the AP, the Vacheron, in 3-hand configuration or option, and you can have a Submariner for the price of 1 Nautilus. So you could have basically some of the biggest brands in the world. You have 2 in the Holy Trinity right there, and then you have Rolex. I mean, Rolex arguably is up there. I mean, it's not as good as Patek or AP, don't get me wrong. But yeah, you could still have maybe a Hulk or a Batman or even just a plain old Jane Submariner. So it's something to consider. Say you have the 70 grand, but you actually don't want to build a collection. You want to, buy one very desirable watch. Well, I would go with the Audemars Piguet, and that is the Datograph. And I know you guys last time beat me up on the pronunciation of it. I'm working on it. It's a German brand. It's a little tough for an American. We call it here Elongators. There's a bunch of different pronunciations for it, but we're working on it. But yeah, the model I would go with specifically is the Datograph. So that is one of the best chronographs in the world. It's in precious metal. The retail is like 100,000, but you can get them around that 60 to 70 mark. It has this really cool complication called the up-down complication. So what it is basically, if you know about watches, you know about the power reserve indicator, which usually on the dial looks like a kind of car gas gauge. So what the brand has done is that they've put basically this up-down indicator. And when it's up, that means the watch is fully wound and has, power in the movement. When it's down, that means it's close to being out of power reserve, or it's actually it's just done. It stopped working, stopped running. So they've kind of done it in a very unique way, and I've never actually seen another brand do that. And again, man, it's a German brand. You're standing out, it's different. If you walk in with that watch, people know you're really a watch connoisseur. Where the Patek, you could just be a fan of, pop culture, and you just want to kind of blend in with the crowd or kind of be mainstream. So that's something that the Audemars Piguet definitely has in its favor. Today we talked about Patek Philippe, specifically the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711. We talked about alternatives in the market that I personally would build a collection out of, and one watch I would buy instead of the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711. But at the end of the day, the most important thing in this whole kind of argument, I would say, is the price. Now, because there's so much demand for this watch, at the end of the day, this watch will hold its value and be a good investment in the long term. Where these other brands, like the Datograph, for example, it will not hold its value. I mean, we saw retail was 100 grand, now it's 70 grand. So that's really one of the biggest factors in the market, is you have to consider that, your investment is safe with Patek Philippe. So guys, let me know at the end of the day what you would go for. If you had 70 grand in the bank, would you go for the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711 in stainless steel, or would you go for the alternatives that I mentioned today? Now, personally, I would have gone with the alternatives and built a collection. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. This has been George from Avant Garde, and see you guys in the next video.